Hey folks, today is Friday, August 9th, 2019. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, and we're here to talk about the video game news, get you caught up on what's going on this week. And it's a spicy week, but let's start on something kind of stupid. Let's have a laugh at this guy. So, I don't know if you've been following this, but China recently had a video game convention. It's called China Joy, and one of the big companies in China debuted a new game for PlayStation 4. It is called Genshin Impact, releasing specifically for PS4, and it seems like some PlayStation fans in China took extreme issue with the fact that the game is kind of a shameless ripoff or knockoff of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like, you could see the gameplay here, the art style, the climbing, the sprinting mechanic with the stamina wheel, cooking is similar. Just some iconography and just some ideas in the game. Like, it does seem really similar, but whereas I feel like most of us would just kind of move on with our lives and not play it, this dude apparently smashed his PS4 at the convention in protest because he was so mad that Sony would have the audacity to allow a rip-off game like this to exist on their platform. I guess he's never seen all of the other games that they sell in the PlayStation Store, like Life of Black Tiger and all that trash. But I thought it was kind of funny. I love when people kind of self-own themselves. Thanks to Daniel Ahmad, the analyst, for putting this out on Twitter and giving us a good laugh. And honestly, I don't want to be weird, but the game actually still, I know it's like kind of a ripoff, it still looks kind of good. Now, in other more serious news, quite a surprising bombshell to drop this week. I don't know if you guys were following, but the FTC did hold a thing to kind of look into game industry stuff, and what came out of that was a pretty big development for stuff surrounding loot boxes. Now, the discussion around loot boxes has been a heated thing for quite some time now, but it looks like both the FTC and with the ESA are now mandating that companies include loot box disclosure in their games, like the drop rate odds. This has been done in many other countries where it's pretty much the norm, where consumers essentially will know what they're buying into. No, loot boxes aren't being banned, but they are becoming a little more transparent, which I think is good. Now, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo have committed to it, so the way it works with the ESA is that these disclosures need to be included for a game to be published on PlayStation, Xbox, or a Nintendo console. Boom. PC is not included on this, interestingly enough. Not all publishers yet have apparently signed up on board. They are still considering the disclosure, which is weird, but a lot of surprising names have jumped on board immediately, probably because they just still want to sell stuff. Activision Blizzard, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Bungie, EA, TakeTwo, Interactive, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, and Wizards of the Coast. The ESA doesn't have an exact date on this, but they are expecting it to roll out in 2020, which, if you think about it, is right around the corner. So I think this is a good development. Yes, it sucks that loot boxes aren't going away, but if this makes them just a fraction better, and if people get less duped, that's a win. And also good on the ESA, as incompetent as they are, especially recently. At the very least, this is one development that works, and it's good to show that they are still doing stuff. This next story is a little bit heavy. One of you guys tweeted it at me, and I was like, what? I need a link for this, because this is crazy, but unfortunately, it does seem pretty much true. So, YouTuber Supmato is essentially a big Borderlands info guy. He's had leaks that have been proven correct, lots of information, and recently private investigators that were, as found, hired by TakeTwo Interactive showed up at his door and questioned him about Borderlands 3 leaks and stuff. He had also been pretty cracked down on YouTube. There were a lot of copyright claims on some of his recent videos, and it seems like Take-Two decided to come at him really hard, and sending investigators to his houses is really hard. 2K Games, who is under Take-Two Interactive, their statement was, "The action we've taken is the result of a 10-month investigation and a history of this creator profiting from breaking our policies, leaking confidential information about our product, and infringing our copyrights. Not only were many of his actions illegal, but they were negatively impacting the experiences of other content creators and fans in anticipation of the game." Supmato is apparently taking a hiatus and even expressed interest in not really wanting to cover or talk about Borderlands 3 anymore, which is kind of a bummer. I honestly think this is a situation of extremes in the very least, because on the one hand you have Take-Two and 2K Games who are right to pursue their copyright, but I also just don't feel like I need to know every single thing about a game like Borderlands 3 before it's released and leaks and stuff. But sending investigators to someone's house, I feel like that's kind of whack. I'm not into that, and I hope this doesn't set a precedent. That's weird. This is all just so extreme and crazy, and I don't know, man. That's my extremely lukewarm take. I think it's crazy all around. I think it's weird for Take-Two and 2K. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Definitely let me know in the comments, and if you want to read up on the story, everything else we talk about today will be linked in the description below. But let's move on. It looks like a new Resident Evil is definitely happening and definitely a thing. Now, we've known they're working on new stuff. Resident Evil 7 was a big hit. Resident Evil 2 was also a hit. They've also expressed interest in remastering and doing kind of a remake of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So something is coming, and now we definitely know for sure because Capcom has put out a call to Japanese Resident Evil ambassadors, kind of like think like fan club or a big dedicated group of Resident Evil fans, to playtest an upcoming Resident Evil game. They're looking for playtesters to come and check out the game and give feedback and honestly probably sign an NDA and not give out any public information about it. But still, this is a tiny little rumbling, but this counts as like just a little bit of a confirmation that something is coming. I'm very curious to see what that is. The success of Resident Evil 2 is a bit more recent. Things might be a bit further off, but I'd say maybe even just a new Resident Evil game, a follow-up to Resident Evil 7 is more likely. That game actually sold millions and millions of copies, so it could very much be a thing, and either way, I'm just happy that the Resident Evil brand is pretty healthy, because there was a point where it wasn't as much, and I think now the possibilities are ripe. Remake Code Veronica, please. But now, before we move on, this episode is brought to you by, once again, nothing, just you guys for watching. Thanks for dealing with our sponsor spots and just watching the show every Friday and coming around. We appreciate that. Let's move on. Now to talk about some things we linked in the description that you should watch. The first thing is a new launch trailer for No Man's Sky Beyond. We talked about the tease a while back, but whoo boy, this is a trailer, man. I am so happy that this game turned it around completely. I know when we paid for it up front, we should have gotten what we wanted, but for them to make good and provide all this stuff for free, I think that's still a benefit to people that at least bought the game, so I'm definitely going to jump into this. I already spent the money. It looks killer. It looks like a completely different game, and I also can't wait to play it in VR. That sounds like something I am totally going to get down with. Also, EVO has passed, and what we got from it is this kick-ass teaser trailer for a new Guilty Gear game, which looks damn cool, and I know some fighting game fans that are freaking out about it. We also linked in the description below. I mean, I don't think they need our help at all, but Noclip has finally rolled out all of their new content on Hitman, a full Hitman documentary making of. Look at the whole series. IO Interactive, Noclip and Daniel Dwyer are freaking gods, and they put out a bunch of really interesting stuff that's worth watching. I'm gonna kick back and finish watching it all weekend. So big shout outs to them. But next, we gotta talk about something really important to me personally that just jams me up, dude. So DuckTales Remastered. The fairly decent remastering of the classic game. This remaster dropped in 2013, which feels like just happened. But the game is being delisted from digital platforms. So the game will no longer be sold via digital. If you own the game physically and digital, you'll still be able to play it, but other than that, the game is kind of going poof, which, isn't that weird? Doesn't that like bother you guys? Doesn't that make you feel kind of weird? Because I've talked, like, I love physical games. I have slowly moved over to the digital world, begrudgingly. And this is an example of why video game preservation matters, and also why we need to pay attention and question some of the avenues of digital ownership. Not to mention the fact that Capcom put out a statement very, very last minute. As of right now, today, it's gone already. There was like a week's notice. We saw the news earlier this week. What the hell, man? Honestly, it looks like the DuckTales might not solve a mystery and definitely not rewrite history because his history has been erased.
God damn it, Jake.
Sorry. Also, another interesting thing, if you are a fan of Days Gone, a new mode has popped up. It's called The Dead Don't Ride, which, fun fact, was actually the original working title of the game. But this mode is completely unserious and silly, and it's essentially Crazy Taxi. Yes, Days Gone has a Crazy Taxi mode where you do get points for running over freakers and picking up people and driving them to locations. And as a huge fan of Crazy Taxi, I am so down with that. the game is re-downloaded and ready to go on my hard drive, so this weekend I am going to be playing that mode. I like surprise free updates like that. Always appreciate it. Shout out to them. Moving on, since we are talking about PlayStation news, especially considering I feel like we haven't had a lot of PlayStation news in recent weeks, Death Stranding has caused a bit of a hubbub because PlayStation.com doesn't have it listed as one of their PlayStation exclusives anymore. The website would have all these upcoming Ghost of Tsushima, they'd show Spider-Man, they'd show Death Stranding. No longer. And that caused people to kind of question what is going on. Personally, I don't think much is going on at all. It is actually on record. This is kind of harder to find because they got rid of some of it, but apparently the deal that went down is console exclusivity. That's it. The game isn't completely a Sony thing, so this can be a PC game. We have heard rumors and rumblings of a PC version, of course. At one point, I thought it was almost a definite, and I think this thing in particular shows that it's probably likely, maybe not at launch, but sometime after. It could go on Epic and everybody will get really mad. So that's a thing. We'll see where it goes. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's fun to just wait and speculate. So that's really what's going on this week, but now we got to do that console giveaway. We do it every single week. The way it works, there's a link in the description. You click it to sign up. You enter once, then you're entered for good. And then every single week we go in and randomly choose one person to win a free console of their choice. This week's winner is going to be this person right here. Congratulations. Be sure to keep an eye on your inbox, your spam box, stuff like that, because we're going to be reaching out to you to find out how to send you your free stuff. Definitely check your email if you signed up, because some people haven't answered. So do that. But now we gotta talk about all the stuff going on this week. There's a lot. What do you think's gonna happen to Death Stranding? Let me know what you think about that crazy guy smashing his PS4, and of course the new United States loot box stuff through the ESA. Now that they're disclosing loot box odds, do you think that is a benefit?
Star Wars loot boxes, they should call them Luke boxes.
Luke boxes. I said Luke boxes, didn't I? Let's talk about any of this stuff down in the comments. I'll be down there talking to you guys as much as possible. But if you're looking for new friends, head on over to discord.gg/gameranx. There's a bunch of fine folks over there. Also, if you want to yell at me or talk to me, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Jake Baldino. Come through. But that's it. So thank you guys for coming around and watching every Friday. I hope this weekend you have a good one. Play some games, watch some things for me. Why don't you? But that's it. So clicking the like button does really help us out, and subscribing if you're new is a good idea because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Pizza's on me.